Okay, hi guys. So I wanted to jump on and make a quick video on some potty training tips. This is going to be less so a guide of how to potty train your dog and more a video containing tips. I think every puppy is different and they need different schedules and different things, so it's not really conducive for me to make a step-by-step, this is step 1 through 10 how you potty train your dog, because it's not like that in reality. So I've got a whole bunch of tips written down so I don't skip anything of different things that might help you and your puppy at home. Some of these things might work for your puppy, others might not, and they might not apply in general. So potty training is just a little bit different for every single puppy. So just keep that in mind when you're working with your puppy at home. And hopefully my puppy will let me finish filming this video. He started this nasty habit of starting to bark in my face whenever I turn the camera on and start filming with me talking to the camera. So that's been fun. So we're gonna jump into the tips. I've got everything written down so that I hopefully don't skip over anything, and hopefully this will be helpful for you guys who are working on potty training with your dogs at home. So first things first, like I said before, every puppy is different. So some puppies, I've got like a general rule of thumb types, a lot of general rule of thumb type tips, but again, there's outliers. So your puppy might not fall into this category, and I just want you all to be aware of that. So the biggest thing about taking your puppy home and working on potty training is keeping a really consistent schedule. If you keep a very consistent schedule with your puppy, it's just going to make your job a whole lot easier to figure out what their system and their bladder is actually on schedule-wise, and it's just gonna make things a lot easier. So literally, like, writing down and keeping a log of when your puppy actually goes to the bathroom versus when they don't is actually going to be super helpful for figuring out when my puppy poops during the day and when my puppy pees during the day and how many hours go by between those events, stuff like that. So writing things down, or even if you just like make a list on your phone and just keep a little running log on your phone. It can even be as simple as like you pull up the list and you write like a happy face or a frowny face, whether they went or not. It doesn't have to be super detailed. Just write down the time as well, so then you can go back and revisit whatever that day looked like. You can take a look over it and say, all right, my puppy went to the bathroom at 8 a.m., at 10 a.m., and so on and so forth. So you can start to, pick out the times of the day that your puppy is more likely to go to the bathroom. So keeping a schedule is my first tip. I highly recommend that, especially if you have like a really hectic schedule, just life-wise in general. It's going to be really hard to keep track of that in your head. Even if you tell yourself that it'll be easy to do that, it's probably not going to be. So keeping a log is probably going to be really helpful. Along with that, saying, okay, I'm going to take my puppy out every hour or every 2 hours, whatever it might be. And that kind of depends on how old your puppy is. So the general rule of thumb that you can kind of follow is that your puppy will be able to hold their bladder, give or take, however many months old they are, +1. So if you have a 3-month-old puppy, technically they should be able to hold it for about 4 hours. Now, huge caveat to that. If your puppy is not sleeping during that stretch of time and they're awake and they're doing things and they're playing and they're eating and they're drinking water, they will not be able to hold it for 4 hours, if that kind of makes sense. That kind of leads into my next tip. If your puppy is doing anything, as soon as they finish doing that activity, they're going to need to go to the bathroom. 100%, hands down. That includes sleeping. As soon as your puppy wakes up from a nap during the day, take them outside. If your puppy finishes drinking water, take them outside. If they finish eating food, take them outside. If they finish playing, take them outside. Literally everything that your puppy engages with and they do as an activity during the day, they will need to go to the bathroom, probably within 20 minutes after finishing that activity, if that. So if you understand that about your puppy, basically every time that they conclude an activity, and that could include sleeping, that could include playing and eating and drinking, very simple things, could include really extravagant things, they will probably need to go to the bathroom within a few minutes to 20 minutes after that activity is concluded. If you understand and kind of absorb that as a concept, potty training becomes a lot easier. Once you kind of figure out a recipe that works for your own puppy, potty training is actually fairly simple, as long as you know what to expect through the entire process. So your puppy is able to hold it for however many months old they are, +1, give or take. However, if activities are going on and it's not nighttime and they're just conked out and sleeping through the night, they will need to get up and go to the bathroom way more than just once every 4 hours, okay? And that was my example for a 3-month-old puppy. So if your puppy is younger than that, they're gonna need to go sooner. If your puppy is older than that, you can give a little bit more leeway. But keeping a log is going to be the best way to figure out when your specific puppy is actually needing to go to the bathroom and when they're not going to the bathroom. So those different times during the day, again, can pop up like literally out of the page. Circle them, highlight them, so you can start to see, okay, this is when my puppy is going to the bathroom, this is when they're not going to the bathroom. So realizing that basically is my next tip. Realizing that about your puppy, that they can hold it for however many months old they are, +1, generally, unless they're doing activities, okay? And activities include sleeping, eating, drinking, anything that your puppy might do. They will need to go to the bathroom immediately after that. So just understand that as a concept. I think that's an important thing to know. In addition to that, you might say, I'm gonna take my puppy out on a pretty set schedule that you guys actually set for yourselves and your puppies, rather than waiting until you see your puppy need to go to the bathroom. I personally did this with Fen initially when I didn't know what his schedule was. I was taking him out once an hour on the hour. I thankfully, with what I do for a living, had the flexibility in my schedule to be able to do that. I was around him all of the time. So I decided, until I figured out what his schedule was, to take him out once an hour, just to give him the opportunity and really hit home, I want you to go outside, which really seemed to help. And if in between that specific hour, if I was taking him out at 4 p.m. and then I was planning on taking him out again at 5 p.m., if at 4:30 he started dancing around and looking like I need to pee, of course I'm taking him out at that point too. So even though I'm setting this specific schedule, I'm also managing him and watching him in the meantime, which is my next tip. So freedom in the house. Freedom in the house, he had little to no freedom in the house whenever I first started potty training it, and I recommend the same thing for your puppies at home. That is how we can get our puppies to go off and like ninja pee in the dark corner of the guest bedroom and go poop in there whenever we're not keeping an eye on them. So in order for us to help teach our puppies that we actually want them to go outside, we have to limit their access to things inside until they understand that concept. So I have a ton of baby gates set up around my house, basically one baby gate per every room, so I could lock Fen into the room that I was personally hanging out in. Baby gates are super helpful for potty training. If you have a super open floor plan, which I hear ton from people, baby gates can be tough and you're going to have to come up with some different solutions. So I really like playpens or X-pens for that reason as well. If you are not able to keep 100% eye on your puppy, I would recommend either tethering them to you, putting them in a crate or a playpen, X-pen, when you cannot watch them, so that they do not have the ability to wander off and like ninja pee in the corner when you're not paying attention to them. That is the biggest mistake that people make whenever they're working on potty training with their dogs. is they'll take them outside, and puppy maybe didn't go to the bathroom, but we didn't quite realize that, like, oh, my puppy was out for a solid hour, they must have gone. We came back inside and my puppy went to go ninja pee in the other guest bedroom, whatever it was. A lot of times when our puppies go outside, they get distracted and then they come back inside, and that's when they're like, oh my God, I have to go. And that's when they decide to go. So keeping 100% eye on your puppy whenever they are in the house with you, unless you are in like a puppy proof zone, and containing them to certain rooms of the house that you are also in can be really helpful with that, so they don't have the ability to go ninja poop in the guest bedroom when you're not paying attention to them. So again, if you cannot keep your eye on them, which we cannot keep our eyes on our puppies 24/7. I cannot do that. That is what baby gates and playpens and crates and tethers are for. If your puppy is really struggling with going in different areas of the house, I would first recommend shrinking down the area that they are allowed access to. As Fenway has gotten older, he has gotten more freedom and more access to more of my house. However, if he's going and hanging out upstairs when I'm downstairs for too long, I'll go up and check on him and call him back down, just because he's still a puppy and I don't completely trust what decisions he's going to make up there quite yet. But he started to gain more access and more freedom the more that I was able to figure out what his potty schedule is, and when I knew he definitely does not need to go right now. Whenever those times occurred where I was for sure certain that he went outside, I could let him back in and give him some more freedom. Versus if he didn't go while he was outside, my suggestion for that is if you take your puppy out and they do not go while you're outside, I would bring them back inside and utilize your management strategies. Either tether your puppy directly to your body, put them in a crate, put them in a confined X pen, give them something to work on, wait 5 or 10 minutes, and then take them out again. When you take them out, I would also recommend having them on leash or in some confined little zone. You could even gate off a specific area. Taking your puppy out to the same place to go to the bathroom can be really helpful for them initially before, again, same thing with outside, you grant them more freedom and more access to the entire yard. Again, that kind of depends on the puppy. I moved away from that pretty quickly with Fenway, as I noticed that he was pretty consistently going every single time I took him outside and wherever I took him outside. So I eventually started taking the leash off, and he would pretty reliably go to the bathroom, and then he'd get a little bit of freedom to run around and play. So going back to my original point, management around the house can be really, really helpful. Baby gates, X pens, tethers, all of that kind of stuff. It's not teaching your puppy anything, it's just preventing them from going and ninja peeing in the corner that you don't want them peeing in. And it's drastically going to help with potty training. That's a really good tip for adult dogs too. You might have recently adopted an adult dog and you're working on potty training with them as well. Same thing. When I adopted Wrigley when she was 8-9 months old, she didn't get full access to my house at the time for several months. It was the same deal. Teach her to go to the bathroom outside, then she got eventual more freedom in the house.